Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Rankin-Mon Valley, Pittsburgh section of the National Council of Negro Women. My name is Dr. Janet Bell, a retired school administrator and a section member, along with Miss Patricia Blewett, the section corresponding secretary. We thank all of you who have participated in our previous programs and hope you will join us again today. You can call in at 412-953-9583 to speak with our special guests, Reverend Dr. Daryl Kennedy and Reverend Talita Kennedy. The number will appear on the screen. This program satisfies two of our national mandates. One is to disseminate information about issues affecting African American women and their families. And the other one is to provide mentoring and educational support to our young people. Also, one of our Four for the Future initiatives is to promote science, technology, engineering, and math education. Before we welcome our guests, we will give a brief overview of the Life Male Stream Academy. Dr. Daryl Kennedy, who holds a Doctor of Ministry degree, and Reverend Talita Kennedy, who holds a Master of Education degree, both of Rodman Street Missionary Baptist Church, founded the Life Male Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math Academy in 2015. They believe a STREAM curriculum will equip male scholars with the skills necessary to succeed globally in the 21st century. It is the only K-12 male academy with a STEAM-focused course of study in the region. This school will open in August with 6th and 7th grade boys. LIFE stands for Living Intelligently, Fulfilling Expectations. The teachers will prepare students using inquiry-based science and math education, an integrated curriculum, project-based group learning, and career awareness. The mission of the Academy is to prepare all male scholars for college, success, and career readiness. It will also serve as a catalyst to increase the presence of African American males in the STEM pipeline. The Life Male Stream Academy will be surrounded by a village of high-quality educators, corporate professionals, and community leaders. They believe in the adage, it takes a village to raise a child. The Village of Life will provide wraparound services for the students, their families, and the community, which will include a science center and technology makerspace, a health and wellness pavilion, a family recreation center, a public library, a performing arts center, a center for spiritual enrichment, a community engagement center, a university education and research complex, a sportsplex, and corporate offices. Welcome to the program, Dr. and Reverend Kennedy, and thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Kennedy and Reverend Kennedy, we have a few questions that will pretty much give a brief explanation to everyone about the program that you're going to offer. Now, for any audience member who may have just tuned in, would you please explain what a STEM program or STEAM program is for the audience?
As was stated in your overview, we are going to be using a STEM curriculum to guide, to inform the entire curriculum. And what that means is that we will be primarily using a project-based learning groups to guide instruction, classroom instruction. We're trying to move away from that traditional model of a teacher standing at the chalkboard or the lectern and lecturing to the student. And we want to give students the opportunity to guide the learning process. The teacher will be there acting as a guide, as a facilitator to facilitate learning. But the students, through project-based learning, coming together, working in teams of 2 to 3 to 4 students, working analytically and creatively, and forming questions of inquiry that would drive the learning process. And so we feel that the students are able to do this. And so that's what we mean when we talk about a STEAM curriculum. And we don't want to just be STEAM in name, but we want to offer a curriculum that is true to the real process of STEAM.
And also, Pittsburgh has done a great job of reinventing itself from a steel mill town where a person could work with their hands and make a good living. Now, Pittsburgh has reinvented itself, known for education, medicine, and technology. We have some of the greatest universities in the world that are right here in our backyard. However, our boys and our girls have been left behind. Mm-hmm. So STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, and we've added the arts, is the wave of the future for our young people to be able to compete on a global level, a global stage. I often go to various meetings with corporate leaders, and they always say that there are many jobs available in Pittsburgh, but the workforce is not prepared for the jobs. So what we are trying to do with the STEM is trying to provide a pipeline so that these young men can go to college and then come back and work in these corporate sectors here in our city and, around the world.
And we know that African American males are at the bottom of just about every academic stat. And so we want to change that. And so we believe STEM could help to do that.
Thank you. What is the significance of having an all-male school?
Well, I went to Morehouse College. Of course, our most famous graduate is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. When I first arrived on campus back in 1983, a lot younger than some of you on the line, but 1983, Daddy King was still alive. So Daddy King would walk around the campus, Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays walking around the campus, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Cosby, Samuel L. Jackson, the former mayor of Atlanta, the first African-American mayor, Maynard Jackson, Julian Bond. These guys were walking around the campus so I could see what I could become. I could see men and women who were producing in the world. So I could see what I could become. So we understand that a single gender education helps these young men to be who they are and not try to impress the young ladies and so on and so forth. But young men, they learn differently. They want to move around. They want to be active. So I saw personally how a single gender education helped me. So when my children became in high school, my son went to a all-male school, it was a boarding school, Kiski Prep, and then my daughter went to Oakland Catholic, an all-female school here in the city. So, and they came out very well. So we learned then from experience that a single gender education can help them to really focus on what needs to be done. But as Talita said, our boys at the bottom of all of the negative statistics, and we believe that we can help them now to see themselves as kings. The mascot of this school is Kings. At this school, every boy is Mr. Okay, Mr. Bell, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Dupree. So we want to help these young men to see themselves as kings, to understand that their heritage and history did not begin on a slave ship. It began as kings, and our people began as kings and queens. So we want to help them to understand that. So that single gender helps them to remain focused, but we're going to surround them with such positive men so that they can see the people that I saw when I was a freshman, when I first arrived at Morehouse.
Thank you. Why have you chosen to have a charter school rather than to make it a private school?
That was really the only reason that we decided to go the charter route, was to make a private school education available to students who would otherwise not be able to afford it. Our students, our children of color, are typically not able to afford private school education. And so we knew that going in. And so we decided that the charter route would be the best way to do that.
Thank you.
Your students will be wearing uniforms. What is the rationale for having them wear uniforms?
We believe we have the 7 wills of life. Life scholar would be well read, well traveled, well spoken, and well dressed, the one that you asked about, well balanced, well connected, and well led. We believe that if they dress the part, they can begin to act the part. We want to help them to understand what it is to be successful in this society. So we believe that boys who dress up don't act up as much, but we also believe that they have to look and act and talk and walk the part. So that's why we decided to do the blazers, shirts, and ties.
Okay. Now, many schools, for one reason or another, have decided to eliminate the art curriculum. Why do you think that it's important to include art in your curriculum?
Well, the school, again, is going to employ a STEAM curriculum. And we are going to, teachers are going to help students understand that they can use math, they can see math in art, or they can see art in ELA, English Language Arts. And so we're going to demonstrate through the use of this STEM curriculum that you can use your creative gifts in areas associated with subject areas that you may have thought, oh, I hate this subject. But when you learn that art is present in literature, and you see that, and so to use cross-cultural, cross-reference curriculum, and showing them that you can see art throughout many of the subject areas that you once avoided.
Okay.
So it really brings out the creativity. Our boys are so creative, and oftentimes it's stymied and stifled. We want to bring that out so that they can really see, as Talita has said, themselves in various roles and see how the arts, the creativity, imagination play in all of these particular areas of academia and not just an art class. We want to make
Mhm.
sure that we integrate it so they can see themselves across the spectrum.
Okay. How important will the parents' role be in the academy?
Oh,
We're not. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, we're not
extremely.
just going after the young man, and that's a great question. We're going after the entire family.
Mhm.
So parents getting involved is going to be a major undertaking for us, because we realize that if we educate the young male scholar and don't help his family, we haven't done much, because he's going to spend all of his nights, all of his weekends, all of his summers with his family. So we want to provide the wraparound services that will also include the families to help them. And Talita can explain a little more about the parental involvement.
We don't want parents to feel like that's just a school that where my child goes. That's the. But we want parents to understand that this is our school. We will have and what we say is an open door policy. Some parents feel like the school is a place where they're not welcome, but they will be welcome at Life Mill STEAM Academy, because we believe that they are partners with us in educating their sons and their sons.
Thank you. Okay, now we often hear about various online schools. Will there be an interactive online component to the Mill STEAM Academy?
There will not be an online component, but I will say, however, with the recent events of COVID, we have um, entered into conversation about alternatives should there be a reason that we are not able to meet in person. So, COVID has, we've been planning for this school for years. And before COVID, we were, and actually, if you look back at your tape, we answered this question very differently. We said absolutely not when we were last on your show. But COVID has changed our mind
Mhm.
and our approach to online learning. And so we are going to have to be. COVID has forced us to prepare for any event, whether it be weather or anything else that would prevent us from meeting in person. It's forced us to have a backup plan for to continue learning, so that it doesn't stop in the event that we're not able to come together in person.
Great.
Can you talk a little about the 10 components of the Village of Life?
Well, we believe again that we have to have wraparound services. One of the things that we are doing, and I'm excited to share this with you for the first time, is that we're going to have what is known as a smart clinic in our school. And this is sponsored by CVS, and they are doing this in other cities in the country. And now we're going to be the first charter school that they are doing it in, as well as a couple of schools here in Pittsburgh Public. It is going to be a 6-person team of highly qualified clinical and support staff that are licensed to screen, diagnose, treat, and prescribe for illness and injury at the school. We don't have to send them out. That'll be right at the school. The 6 team members of this will be a licensed medical provider, a licensed clinical social worker, a utilization and engagement manager, a licensed practical nurse, a registered nurse, and a health and wellness coordinator. It is very important that we not only try to meet the academic needs of these kids, but many of them are coming from trauma. Many of them have, other issues that are going on, and oftentimes, when a child can't see well, it's not that they are not paying attention to what's on the board, but they can't see the board. But if they've never had a diagnosis, an assessment of their eyesight, so we're going to be able to provide all of those types of services. Ultimately, we want to see this as a campus and not just as a school building. So we are purposely have gone out to the Penn Center East, which is right outside of Monroeville, right in Wilkins Township. It is an office park of about 90 acres. We are purposely starting the school there on that property. For instance, on that property, you already have an engineering firm, so that the boys can learn from these engineers. We can go into their office and see what the day-to-day works of an engineer are, and also to have the engineers to come to the school, come into the classroom and talk to the students. There are architectural firms already on the campus. There are medical firms that are already on the campus. So this begins to help these young men to see themselves outside of the little cocoon that they are in. And we want to provide a science center, technology makerspace. The health and wellness pavilion is to see themselves as doctors. That's very important. What I said earlier is when I first got to Morehouse, I could see men and women who looked like me who were doing well. That's what we want to show to these young men, that you can be a doctor, you can be an astronaut, you can be an engineer, you can be an architect, to open up their thinking. We also are joining with the universities. We have some great universities here in the city. We are partnering with these universities then to be able to provide this university education and research complex, so that our school can be used as a pilot to show what we can do with our males in this particular field. I also want to say this, is that not only is the academic important, but the culture and character are going to be just as important for these young men. And we believe that we can build that through the village.
Great. Now, let's talk about class size. Are you planning to limit the number of students that are in a class? And what about the number of students that will be in the entire school?
We will, our goal this year is to start with 168 students. And we're very aware that the number of students in the classroom directly affects the teacher's ability to be able to provide one-to-one instruction. And so we are going to start out with 21 students in each class, in 4 classes at the sixth grade level, and 21 students in each class in 4 classes at the 7th grade level as well.
Great.
Okay, thank you. Some of the charter schools have had extended day or extended school year. What are your thoughts on those?
We believe that it's very much needed, particularly for this population of students that we're going after. We realize that once that school day ends, that a lot of these children go home to empty houses, and so we want to be able to provide a safe place for them to remain until their parents, until a guardian is home. But in addition to that, there are just not enough academic hours in the day to address all the academic issues that students have. And so we want to be able to provide through an extended day program the enrichment programs that are needed in order to strengthen student performance.
Okay. Now, earlier you talked about how parents could be involved, but what about the community? How can the community get involved with the school and be an effective partner?
Well, one of the things that I have been touting, that we're going to have a strong, robust mentoring program. Because I'm a pastor and because I'm a part of a couple of fraternities, and in conversation with all the fraternities and 100 Black Men and the National Negro Council of Women, we want to invite those persons in to serve as tutors, to serve as mentors, to serve as guides. And what we also are discovering is that it would not only be a mentor and a guide for the young male scholar, but also for many of their parents. Some of their parents are very young, and need to see strong women, need to see strong men, and to help to guide them along. So we want to invite the community. One of the things that I've said, this is our school. It's a group called FUBU, for us, by us. And that's what I want to say. This is for us, by us. This is our community school. This school has our DNA written all over it. And that's what we want to do. We want to include the community, want to include retired educators so that you all can come and walk around and help us to help the teachers as well as the students. So we welcome that 100%.
Thank you.
Okay, before I ask the next question, I wasn't sure that I heard about the extended school year. Are you planning to have an extended school year?
You're muted.
I'm sorry. Right now, we are not. We are going to be 10 months. And so we will not be year round. And there's been, at this point, there's been no discussion about that. However, we have, in the past, we have offered enrichment programs in the summer. We had our first program was Drafting Dreams, which was an architectural program that we offered to young men. In another program, STEAM Saturdays, and we offered this program in partnership with Carnegie Science Center. And so we realized that during the summer, what could potentially happen is that students have experience this loss of learning. And so we have talked about offering summer enrichment opportunities for students to bridge that gap from the end of the school year to the beginning of the following school year.
So some of the things that we want to do with the wraparound services that you asked about in the Village of Life is to be able to provide those types of opportunities for the students. And of course, what we would do then is open it up to other students, even as well as females, to be able to come in on the various partnerships that we will have, throughout the summer, Saturdays and so on and so forth.
Okay. Why did you choose the Woodland Hills School District for your school? And did they approve your charter?
Honestly, when I looked at the property, the Lord spoke to me about the property before he told me about the school.
Oh.
I thought that the property honestly was in Monroeville, so I thought it was Gateway. So I saw the property before God revealed the school to me. And let me back out just a little bit. The way that the school came about was that we were just seeing so much violence in our streets. We still see it today. But I have a strong men's ministry, and trying to help men to become the husbands and the fathers and the responsible people that they're supposed to be. So I was attracting a lot of young men out of the streets, and several of them came, they joined the ministry. I baptized them, and a few months later, somebody would kill them. And it happened more than one time. Because I guess they were, trying to come out of the streets, but still out there or what have you. And they were killed. And so God spoke to me on September the 11th, 2014, the 9th month, the 11th day. It was a 911 call. I'll never forget. It was a Thursday. God said to me, you got to save the boys. That particular night, he wouldn't let me go to sleep. That's where this school came about. That's where the dream of the school came about. He told me the name is LIFE. LIFE is an acronym, living intelligently, fulfilling expectations. He said to me the mascot would be Kings. He said the curriculum would be STEM. And since we've added the art, so STEAM now. He said to me the colors would be purple, would be black. We've added the gold and we've added the white, because he said there's a royalty about this school. So that's where it initially came about for me. So I didn't realize that it was in Woodland Hills School District. Okay. But right around the same time, all of these boys in Woodland Hill were being murdered.
Mm-hmm.
We just experienced that between a 2-week period between May 16th and May 30th, Well, 4 17-year-olds at Penn Hills High School were murdered. Well, 3 of them were murdered. One had a drug overdose. So God said to me, you got to save the boys. So we went before the Woodland Hills School District board, and yes, they did approve it without us having to go to the state for appeal. We made we showed them how this school can help to change the trajectory of what's going on, not only in Woodland Hills, but we believe also around the city.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. What is the progress of the school development thus far, and what are the next steps?
Well, we are currently registering 6th and 7th grade male scholars. They can go to our website at lifesteam.org. So LIFE STEAM.org, and they can register right now. So we want anyone who has a 6th and 7th grade now male scholar can register now. It's not limited to Woodland Hills. Woodland Hills, in fact, we're only going to take 30% of our students from Woodland Hills. That was a part of the memorandum of understanding. So we want boys from Pittsburgh Public, boys from the Mon Valley, boys from Rankin, the very places that the National Negro women have. We also we want to be able to get boys from Penn Hills, Gateway, the entire Pittsburgh region. It is a free school, and the school system has to provide transportation for these young scholars to attend.
Okay.
May I also add that we are in need of teachers and administrative assistants and teacher assistants. So if you are interested in working and becoming a part of our team at Life, please go to the website again that Dr. Kennedy has listed at. It's on your screen. Go to our website, and the positions are listed there. And we want to talk to you and see if it's a possibility of you coming and joining our team.
We need some good math teachers, some good science teachers. We really need that, and it'd be really good for those boys to be able to see somebody that looks like them. So that's been one of the challenges, to make sure that we have people of color that will apply, for these positions.
Are you considering an all-female school in the future?
We get that question a lot. We get that question a lot, and right now, this is our calling. However, we do realize that our girls need a lot of help as well. As Reverend Kennedy stated earlier, the programs in the immediate future, we are going to welcome the girls to participate in those summer enrichment opportunities. And we will be prayerful as we move forward in the years to come. But our mission now is to address the dire need to help our boys of color.
I will say this, Dr. Bell, if we decided to do it, it will be a single gender school.
Oh, well. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We would not. No, it would not be co-ed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any funding from other foundations or organizations that help with the development of your school? God bless you.
Yes, and we need more. So we hope that someone is listening to us. I often say this: I have a vision with no money. Somebody else has money and no vision, and God just needs to put us together. Somebody holla back at me now. But yes, we have had foundations. Heinz Endowments and Eden Hall Foundation gave us some planning money. So Talita and I and members of our board and others have traveled around the country looking at schools. We've been to Atlanta, looking at some of the best STEAM schools probably in the country there. We've been to Washington, D.C. We've been to Chicago to look at a male academy there. We've been to New York and New Jersey, looking at male academies. We've been to San Francisco, Oakland. We've been to Los Angeles. We've been to Philadelphia. So we've gone around the country, and we've been to Jacksonville, Florida, looking at schools. So we've gone around the country to try to look at the best practices. So that's very important. And we realize that if we can get the corporate community and the foundations to help us, then we can change that school to prison pipeline to school to career pipeline. And that's what we're really trying to do. So we are soliciting for if you know people, we would love to have them. You can go to the website and they're able to give that way as well. But we are, because Pennsylvania does not provide startup funding for a charter. Okay. They just don't do it. Some states do. So we are looking for partnerships continuously to be able to help us with the funding.
Okay. Dr. Bell, before we go on to our next question, I believe we have a caller who is waiting on the line to speak to us.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, good evening. My name is Mark Brentley. I'm a former school board member of the Pittsburgh Public Schools, and before I left the board there, I started a program called the Pittsburgh Public Schools Annual Take a Father to School Day. And I still go back and help them kick it off. It's a one-day event, so we're into our 23rd year, acknowledging, inviting, and supporting men getting involved in the education of the children. And so I just called, just give you a couple of seconds of encouragement to tell you that the need is overwhelming. Okay. And I can just briefly tell you some of the obstacles that we ran into and continue to run into. Even though our event is a one-day event, we ask fathers to stop what they're doing, come to any of our schools, and then we ask our staff to provide a special activity that gets men involved in their buildings, you know, setting up tours, setting up special presentations, flower gardens, doing chores around the building, setting things up and going through the buildings and meeting the teachers, encouraging the kids, whatever it takes. Our purpose is to get the men out. But a couple of the obstacles that we ran into, and I'm certain that at some point you will, and the most pressing one is this whole new movement, this, I call it a propaganda machine, of encouraging men and boys about the alternative lifestyles, teaching them that it's okay to love and to date and that sort of stuff. And even still, I still get a call occasionally where they say that I'm discriminating against women. I'm discriminating against mothers because I'm focusing on boys. And I'm not focusing on, you know, the alternative lives and teaching them that. And so we don't get into that part because a lot of these kids need much more than that. But it's been an obstacle, and it is a very strong, powerful force. So I will continue to keep you in my prayers, and I'm hoping everybody else out there will put you on the top of their prayer list, because we can juggle and maneuver around the gang stuff, and we can reason with these kids about employment and other things. But this newfound thing that goes after our children's minds and their actions is like a cancer. And so it's been a major obstacle for us. But once we dealt with that, we continue to have tons of success. On an average, we're getting over 6,000 men coming out to those schools to volunteer on that particular day. The news media covers it. One quick story now, and I'll hang up and leave. We couldn't believe it. Was about 10 years ago, and what I try to do is visit as many schools as I can to see the activities. There's one school that was in or near the public housing community, so we didn't anticipate any men coming out. But when I went into the room that they had reserved for the men, it would almost bring you to tears. They were lined up against the wall I mean, quiet with each other, no beefing with each other. But they were there because they felt comfortable being in the room with men. They didn't have to show off for the girls. They didn't have to prop up for other people, but we closed the door. And the one brother just asked me, he said, hey man, I'm not with my old lady's daughter, but can y'all help me to be a better father anyway?
Mm.
And so I tell you that story to say the need is there. All these young men need is folks like you all to give some direction and show that you're willing to care, and at times to give the tough love, description or constructive areas where they can say, hey, I know where you want me to go. Show me how to map it out, and I'll follow you. So there is hope out there. And so with no need to throw all of our boys away. And so they're doing it. Finally, there are a lot of folks who are finally moving to that model of some are finding success in charters, but they eventually consider private schools because at a certain point, your success will raise questions on all of the other folks around you who will double your budget, but aren't getting the kinds of success that you will. And so the politics will step in. And so just be prepared to talk about the possibilities of private schools where you can have total control and still keeping this thing moving forward. I'm excited for you, and I just wanted to encourage you folks. And by the way, ladies, you all look great. This is a wonderful show. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for your comments. And I'm going to say right up front, we're going to steal that idea about the fathers coming to the school. I can just imagine that's a powerful sight to see fathers standing next to their sons. But we realize that this will not be an easy road. It's already not been an easy road, but we're built for this. And so, because as we remind each other each day, it's not about us, but it's about the people that this school, it's about the boys that this school will help.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
And Mark, we want to thank you. And once again, they did open the door and say they need the community to get involved. And you already have the experience. You have the expertise. Get on board. Come help them out. Oh, I'm sorry. You all need to ask him that.
but absolutely. And Mr. Brentley, I participated in some of those Bring a Father to School. I was the speaker at some of the schools during that time. So it's an excellent idea. We want to have that. We want to have men there every day just to show, no more than just fist bumping the board that they getting off the bus. We want to be able to show them that we are, capable of being there, for them. So absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to say thank you to Mark also. I think you might have answered this question. How many students do you need to begin?
So we're starting. Our goal is 168 boys in year one. And what we're doing, we're starting with 6th and 7th grade, 84 and 84. After that, the class size goes down to 70 per grade. So the class size in the classroom will go down to about 18 students per teacher. The first year is a larger class. And what we're going to do, we're going to add a grade a year. So next year we have 6, 7, 8, and then 9th. And in year 6 will be our first graduating class. Okay. That year, when we have the 12th graders, we're going to add K1. And over the next 4 years, it'll ramp up to a full K-12 academy. There are no more K-12 academies with a STEM or STEAM-focused curriculum for boys of color that I've seen in the country. There are some high schools that are, all male, but I've not seen a K through 12 that would be an all male center, and especially centered around the curriculum that we are doing. So we are trying this year to have 168, and then it'll grow. Eventually, when we get to the height it'll be 910 boys.
Okay, before we go for our next question, we have another caller. So let's welcome this caller. Hello, and can you please identify yourself and ask your question?
Hello, folks. Hey, I'm still here. Can I just make one quick comment before I leave?
Oh, sure.
I wanted to just also remind you that the program that we have, the Take a Father to School Day, one of the things that we also learned and the feedback that we were getting is that some wanted us to discontinue it because they said that we made it bad for those students who didn't have fathers or didn't have access to their fathers. So what we were able to do was two things, Dr. Kennedy, two things. Number one, we changed the definition of a father on that particular day. And our definition of a father was a positive male role model in that child's life. So this way that child can invite his uncle, his cousin, his rabbi, his ministers, his coach, or whatever, but a positive male role model. The second thing we were able to do for those kids who weren't able to reach out and to get that, we created what we refer to as the Pittsburgh Public Schools Take a Father to School Day ambassadors. They were charged with the responsibilities of standing in for those students who didn't have. And so you would walk into some of the classrooms and you would see 4 or 5 fathers, but there may be 30 kids. Well, those fathers were ambassadors to all of those children on that particular day if they had any kind of activities that they had to participate in. That was one of the ways we made it all inclusive. We ain't leaving none of our boys behind. Thank you so much, folks. I'll talk to you soon, and we continue to pray for the program.
Thank you. Okay. Now, what is the enrollment process? What documentation do the parents need to bring from their previous schools? Can they enroll online, or do they need to come in person?
We would like for them to enroll online. However, if they do not have a computer at home, they don't have the technology available to them, they are able to call Lynn Hamilton. She is our enrollment specialist. And if you go to the website again, her name actually will be listed at the website as well. And I can actually get, if I'm allowed to do this, I can give her number to you right now. If you are one of those persons that is not able, you don't have access to a computer, her number is 412-401-0786. I'll give that number again, 412-401-0786. She has been wonderful, a wonderful resource in helping parents who have run into issues with completing registration. They got a little off track. She got them right back on track, and they were able to continue to move forward with the process. They would go to, as Reverend Kennedy said earlier, to the website. They would create an account, and then they would be directed to a website named SchoolMint. And that is where they will actually begin the enrollment process. Once the student is admitted into the school, into the academy, they would begin to work on providing those documents that are needed for enrollment. And we would need everything from medical records. They would need to complete a records release form that would allow the previous school to release records to us. Everything is it's right there online. They will be able to go and look at that list and see what all the required documents for enrollment, what they are.
And we've made it simple that they can actually use their smartphones as well to do this. So if they don't have a computer, they can still go on, and the platform will be supported by their smart telephones, as well.
That's wonderful. And guess what? We have another caller waiting. Hello, welcome to the show. Can you please identify yourself and ask your question?
Yes, my name is Jim. I'm calling from Wilkinsburg. And I just want to say, I think the LifeSTEAM Academy is an excellent idea, and I hope it's a success. I just want to know, what have been the main obstacles you have encountered in trying to start the school?
Well, some of them have been people have, they don't like charters. They say that a charter school taking students away. Specifically in your area, I just think it'd be a great opportunity for boys not to go to a 6 to 12 grade school, because they're leaving Wilkinsburg going over to a school that has 6th grade all the way to 12th grade. So we think that this would be a good opportunity for them to be among themselves. So that's been one of the obstacles. People have talked about, the girls need help too. We all agree with that, but we are very intentional on what we are doing. We believe that if the boys get right, that it will bleed over to our young ladies and our communities. The enemy knows that if he can destroy the male, he can destroy the entire race. So we are very intentional on trying to save these boys, which we then believe will help to save our race and our families and be better off. So those have been some of the obstacles. Certainly finances, startup funding, because the state does not give startup funding to charter schools. So that's been, an obstacle as well.
I would add to that, finding African American teachers, teachers of color. That is a real challenge. Some of our Caucasian counterparts, they're coming, they're flooding the lines to participate and come on board along and work alongside of us. But we're open to that. But we would love for these boys to see men that look like them. And so getting African American men in particular to apply for the teaching positions, that has been a real struggle.
I just hope that the school's a success, and I have really enjoyed this show.
Oh.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Thank you.
And Jim, please spread the word. Tell every 6th and 7th grader, male that you know, lifesteam.org.
All right, we're going to ask, do you have any closing remarks that you'd like to share with us before?
Well, one of the things that I want to share, this is right out fresh off of the press. Cheney University, one of our historically Black colleges and universities, is offering 5 full scholarships to our first graduating class. 5 full scholarships. It is called the Keystone Scholarship. It's awarded to a select group of students who are admitted into the Keystone Honors Program. And this award includes a tuition scholarship, full last dollar scholarship, adjusted according to financial aid. So that means it's not just tuition. It will cover room and board and a 19 meal plan and flex points. It will cover all the fees associated with enrollment in the university and an array of special services and programs to support student success. They believe in us. The president is Aaron Walton, used to be a longtime citizen here in Pittsburgh. He is the president. He believes in this vision. So he said, Dr. Kennedy, 5 full scholarships to your first graduating class. Somebody holler back at me now. Those are the kind of partnerships that we are building. We are building it with Carnegie Mellon. Penn State University main campus has jumped up, and they are providing us with the STEM materials. I mean, they have gotten on board. We are talking with Pitt. We are trying to get the universities to embrace this, because again, we are changing the trajectory of the pipeline of what we believe are the most vulnerable citizens that we have, which are African American males in particular. Now, I also want to say this: all boys are welcome. No matter what your nationality or race, you are welcome. In our mission statement, we say that we are going to prepare all male scholars for college success and career readiness. But then that second sentence is we're going to serve as a catalyst to increase the presence of African American males in the STEM pipeline. One last thing before Talita says something. We're starting a program, a discovery flight program, where children are able to see themselves as pilots. So we just started this program. One young man, 17-year-old, rising senior, he goes to the barbershop and he sweeps up hair to make some money. Well, he found out about me in the program and he called me, and that young man flew an airplane. I'm not talking about a drone. He went over to the Allegheny airport, met the flight captain, and he actually flew an airplane for an hour. I asked him, I said, did you land the plane? He said, no, sir, I didn't land it. He said the real pilot took over then. But that young man now, he said, man, I can be a pilot. I can do this. And that's what we're trying to do to help these young men to see themselves in a different light.
Wonderful.
You on mute.
We just want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to come and to share information about this. We are excited about the educational opportunity that we think we're going to be able to offer these boys of color. And we believe that we are going to be able to make an impact through this school that has not been seen in the city of Pittsburgh. And that's not to say anything about the two people on the screen before you, but we just believe that God has called us for such a time as this. And so thank you again.
Right. And we'd like to thank both of you for Dr. and Reverend Kennedy for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and share with us this information. And we also want to thank everyone for listening to the information about the Life Mills STEAM Academy. And go online, get the information that you need, continue the conversation, let's start working together so that we can make this a success. And we'd also like to thank those who tuned in and participated. And don't forget, we are here, so tune in often to find out what information we are sharing with you. Thank you once again. And everybody, have a wonderful holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you.